Rob, can you pull up Kirk's TikTok account? If you just pull up Kirk's TikTok account.
Do you dance a lot on the TikTok?
I very rarely.
If you pull up his TikTok, I just want to show this real quick.
The TikTok story is crazy.
And I want you to talk about this, Rob. Just do me a favor. Let's go through some of the clips, okay? All right, so 10 million.
If you go to popular, it's the best way to do, because this is all recent election.
Go to the right, go all the way to the right.
Yeah.
Okay, so check this out. Look at this here. Zoom in a little bit, Rob, if you could. 49.
50 million. Let's be honest. 50
40,
million.
37. Keep going. 13.8, 22.6, 23. Keep going, Rob.
This is just in the last month.
22, 21.7, 23.6, 20, 20, 16.4. Go a little lower. 9.2, 8.5, 14.3. 60 million views on a daily basis, okay, while you're going through this. Now, Charlie, there's Instagram. That's a different audience. Mm-hmm. There's YouTube, different audience. You got radio, syndicated, different audience. You got Rumble, different audience. X, different audience. TikTok. When you're in the streets or you go places and people say, hey, I watch your stuff on radio. I watch your stuff. I listen to your stuff on radio. I watch you on YouTube. I watch you on Instagram.
Gotta be
How
TikTok.
often do you hear TikTok?
TikTok is 80% of the
Unbelievable.
And, I hang out in the streets a lot. That's what I'm known for. No, but let me say a couple of things on TikTok. I'm blown away by this. And look, we do a lot on social. We do a lot on podcasting, and praise God, the podcast is doing really well. So we were trying to get...
By the way, he's being modest. It's a top 5 podcast on Apple and Spotify right now while we're speaking. Right now, if you look at him, he's top 5 Apple and top 5 Spotify. Please continue.
Thank you. Yeah. And so we've been trying to get on TikTok for a while. And TikTok had a censorship regime that was very sensitive to topics that we would discuss on campus. And we kind of just said, forget it. Well, it's interesting. And I have a whole theory that October 7th was the event that led to the end of the Democrat Party. And I could lead it through 4 or 5 different examples. And I think Chris would actually agree with this, because it's just an objective analysis, not a partisan one. And the buried lead of the October 7th was that it got TikTok banned. And remember, the TikTok ban stalled based on just China concerns. But TikTok was the hub of a lot of the anti-Israel sentiment that was brewing with Gen Z. And then all of a sudden the TikTok ban got resurfaced. Mitt Romney said at a security conference, we are banning TikTok because it is sowing anti-Israel sentiment in the United States. So TikTok gets banned, and our team, we had this idea like, hey, TikTok is in a place where they don't want to get banned with an incoming administration. Let's send out a tweet saying, hey guys, let's do one more chance. If you treat us fairly, we'll become TikTok's like biggest right-wing fan, right? And I will talk. And they reached out and they were great. They said, here are our rules. We will transparently enforce them. Again, they're very, very sensitive. If you talk about trans stuff, it's like incredibly, right? Even if you do it diplomatically. And we said, great. So again, this is all transparent. It's all public. There's no like backroom deal. And so we started posting my old college discussions there, because I've been doing this for 12 years where we just have open dialogues. And we started to get 5 million views a day, 6 million views a day, and 10 million views a day. And so over the summer, I said, well, what if this election season, I do like 25 campus stops and we kind of create these open air discussions, and they might go viral, especially on TikTok, that could influence a lot of people to view the election the way, obviously, I want them to view it. And yeah, look, on TikTok alone, it was 1 billion views in 90 days. It's like 60 to 80 million views a day. And that sounds like a number, but all of a sudden, here's what was amazing. It was the most effective way I ever reached the working class in my career. The muscular class, janitors, waiters, waitresses, Uber drivers, police officers, firefighters. Even more so than YouTube and Instagram, for whatever reason, something about TikTok really reaches people that Donald Trump was trying to win 10 or 15% more of. And final thought I'll make on this. It's the most diverse audience that I'm talking about Black, Hispanic, Asian, young. And I'll just tell one story. I was in Vegas about to speak, and there were a bunch of, waiters and waitresses coming up asking for pictures, all Hispanic, all Asian American, Pacific Islander, that saw me on TikTok, and they're like, thank you, you connected dots, I think. And it is a form of entertainment what we do on TikTok, because it's ideas that are kind of colliding. And so praise God, if you would have told me a year ago that we'd have like one of the largest TikToks out there in conservative media and all politics, I would have said no way. And we can go whatever direction you want, Pat, but I believe without the horror and the tragedy on October 7th and the events that came subsequent, I don't know if we would have had the success on TikTok that we did.
There's a story that came out, Rob, if you can. Oh, there it is. So it's a Wall Street Journal story a few days ago. Young voters helped fuel Trump's win. Okay. So, and this was kind of interesting because one day I get a call from Vanity Fair and they're asking me about, what do you think about the fact that Barron Trump is getting all these podcast bros for his father to get on? And what do you think about that strategy and all this? I said, you're talking as if it's a bad idea on what he's doing. I'll read this to you. Young voters helped Trump fuel Trump's win. Trump's win included a 14-point lead among men under 30, a drastic 30-point shift from 2020 when Biden had a 15-point lead. For women under 30, Harris led by 18 points, a drop from 32 points in 2020. Nationally, 16% of voters were under 30, up from 13%, so 3+ in 2020, with Harris's support among them shrinking to just six points over Trump, 52-46. Economic issues dominated young voters' concerns, with 39% of young women and 42% of young men prioritizing jobs and the economy. Trump's campaign reached young voters through college events, TikTok. They're talking about you right here, and popular podcasts. Following advice from his son, Barron, who recommended appearance on platforms such as Aiden Ross, drawn hundreds of thousands of views. Now, Aiden, sure, gamer, all this stuff. But a lot of this, if I was to hear someone, like for example, a celebrity gets on, oh, wow, he was on Aiden. Great. Oh, my God, he was on Logan Paul and Mike Mallon. Great. Sure. Influence. Yeah, I can't believe Logan had him on. I get it. Jake actually broke down a 32-minute video to explain why he's voting. I think that translates. You get young voters to say, that's right. That doesn't make any sense. What are you talking about? This doesn't make any sense. Chris, again, the sport of politics. How big, you're in this space, you've been in it your entire life, your father's a 2-term governor, your brother's a governor, so it's not like you. How big of a deal was this for young voters to flip like this and be inspired to come out and vote for Trump?
So one of the rules in politics is do everything. Do everything. Be in yes mode. Go everywhere you can. Talk to anyone you can. That has become less and less popular as people seek their silo, right? Now, again, this is also evidence of underperformance. I'll start with saying bro vote, to me, I don't think is coming from a good place, by the way. I don't think...
We got to talk about that.
Defining it as bro vote, I see is
what does that mean? What does bro vote mean?
To me, I see it as a way of diminishing what resonates with young men. And I think it's a continuation of a very overt, intentional strategy of bringing down young men.
I don't get that.
Blaming them. Bro is, to me, it's
oh, you think it's a pejorative?
Oh, yeah. I think it's a pejorative.
Okay.
And I'm okay with it. Not,
sure. Okay,
I don't see who's called bros. I get called that. You know, I'm 54 years old, you know, and
I see. So you think when people label that, they're trying to use it as a...
Oh, yeah. Because,
because
it's never one of them.
I got it. So when they say these bro podcasts he's going on, like almost like, why would you waste your time getting on this podcast? I got it.
And it's a disrespect. It's an extension of how people in the media, not to speak for a whole group, obviously.
I think you're right. Yeah.
But you never hear anything good about Joe Rogan except his reach. Now, do I see Rogan as any kind of functional equivalent to either of you guys? No, because you're thought leaders. I may not agree with your thoughts. I may not, I may not want to echo your thoughts, but you're thought leaders. Joe has an amazing platform that you got to give him credit for having, where he has guys like you on it. That's the appeal. His audience is not independents. His audience breaks right, and that's fine. That's fine. But to be a pejorative and say these bros, like somehow it's bad to have young men wanting to vote for you, I think is a mistake. Trump did what you're supposed to do. He went everywhere. So should have Harris. Was Rogan going to be the same situation for her as for him? No. But that's the way it is. You know, when Donald Trump at some point decides to come on News Nation and sit down, it's not going to be like he's sitting down with Newsmax or Fox News. But you take it. The audience gets where you are.
He'll love it, though. That's the thing. He likes to be challenged if it's done from a good place in good faith.
Was he invited?
Oh, yeah.
No, as long as as long as it's not
all
cheap,
the time.
If it's not cheap shots, though, he likes it.
I agree. Although he likes,
I think
he likes to deliver a cheap shot. By the way,
fair enough. But I think you'd do a good job if you came from a perspective of you want to make sure the American people have clarity on what he believes.
Right. My point is, look, I think he needs to sit down. Here's my feeling about it. Okay, let's move on. The Democrats have to process. The Republicans had to process in the midterms. Process. Figure it out. Figure out what you want. Don't get overwhelmed with blaming things as some kind of battle of agendas, which is what the left is doing. But that's their problem. We have to be focused forward. Trump should be talking about what he's going to do all the time.
Can I stay on this topic? I want to stay on this topic. And
sure.
I want to get your expertise on this topic. So the reason why I'm talking young voters, and we're staying here with the young voters topic, is I watch, Super Bowl. Like right now, it pisses me off that Cincinnati Bengals are 3-5. And they've lost most of their games by less than a touchdown, whatever. 35-34. Tom tells me their cornerbacks suck, and I'm like, okay, he's a number one quarterback right now in yardage, touchdown to interception. I think he's number one or number two in that. But they're 3-5. And they're not, the way they're playing right now, they're not going to do anything major. Now, in NFL, you could still make it to the playoffs and you could still be formidable later on. It's all about momentum. But one could watch a game and it could say, well, the differentiator in 2024 is XYZ. It's the running game. It's this. NBA, Cleveland Cavs are off to a 12-0 record. It doesn't matter when it comes on to the playoffs. In politics right now, a lot of events happened last 12 months. I remember a year and a half ago, I'm bringing guests here, and we're having different conversations. And a lot of people were still DeSantis. Mm-hmm. They were even uncomfortable to be pro-Trump. Mm-hmm. I would go to events, and guys were kind of like, whoa, you got to be comfortable. Don't be too pro-Trump because you're even losing the conservative vote. This was about a year and a half, 2 years ago that was happening. So you had to kind of be like, relax a little bit when you're being too.
Yeah, in primary mode.
Bring it down a little bit, right? But then in the last 12 months, specifically, if this is a sport – in the last 12 months, to both of you guys, what would you say were the defining moment where it flipped? And by the way, I'm not I'd like to see one from both of you guys, but also reasons. For example, Bobby's walkout. Okay,
we hosted that event.
I remember that. That was turning point.
Phoenix.
I remember. Was it an Amfest or was it a?
No, but come on, if you see those kind of pyrotechnics, you know who's
your
doing
AV is insane. Yeah. So, but
that's that doesn't come ex nihilo. That's
well, you
come on, Pat. You know that's a turning point.
You realize we've been in the business of doing events for a while, and I would expect nothing less from a guy like you. I've been at your event. I see you in the back. The guy works like 24/7 at his event, running the whole show. He's phenomenal. But Bobby coming out, that alliance, Tulsi. Musk coming out. Musk's 2.1 billion impression on X. Rogan's podcast. Assassination attempt. The younger voter going out there getting the TikTok folks. If you were to say a few of the events in 2024 that led to Trump making the greatest comeback of all time, what would you say that was?
I have to pick a couple. The first of which was Elon Musk's purchasing of Twitter. And I believe that for many reasons, because it allowed for...
You put that as one?
Yes.
I think I agree. I agree.
Yeah. I do. And the reason being is that you saw a national popular vote tilt a certain way, which is indicative that the entire country is consuming information differently.
Right.
This was not just a regional tilt. It's not just that Trump ran a better campaign in Pennsylvania, which he did. It's not just that we chased more votes in Arizona, which we did. It's that the whole country is consuming information that makes them view things differently. Mm-hmm. Now, you could say, oh, because it's inflation, all that. Sort of. But national public polling shows that there was this moment where the country started to care more about immigration. The country started to care more about what's happening in Ukraine. Public attitudes were changing, and I believe that is because we had a platform that finally allowed freedom of speech, because all the other ones were clamping down on it. So I think that's number one. And then number two, I think it would be the indictments of Donald Trump, starting which, when the Rubicon was crossed, when Alvin Bragg indicted Donald Trump in New York for this ridiculous, just concocted pile of garbage that no one could explain. And Donald Trump was then viewed correctly as a martyr by his supporters and a sympathetic figure to the people who couldn't afford groceries. And for a regular person, the equation, the formula is built. I can't afford stuff that I used to, and the guy I've been told to hate is now facing prison time. That doesn't make sense to me. And so then what happened is that regular everyday people would go turn on the networks. They say, okay, help me understand this, MSNBC. Help me, because a lot of people would give the benefit of the doubt. They said, okay. And they heard nothing but he's a Nazi, he's a threat to democracy, and he must be locked up. And regular people didn't buy that. And then where did they go, PBD? X, to Twitter. And they saw a different story. And so I could keep on going. And then finally, the day, what day did Elon Musk endorse Donald Trump? July 13th, the day that Donald Trump got shot in Butler, Pennsylvania. And I believe the hand of God was on Donald Trump. I really do. I believe that it was 1 millimeter that, saved his life. But then Elon Musk going all in. You know this. I mean, I'm read Elon's book, the Walter Isaacson one. It's unbelievable. He's like a laser beam. When Tesla's not hitting its objectives, he sleeps on the floor of the Tesla factory, the Gigafactory, until it's done. If the rockets aren't getting up on time, he dedicates his whole life. If he wants Donald Trump to go to the White House, what did he do? He lived in Pennsylvania for 45 days straight and dedicated his fortune, his time, his energy like a laser beam. Nothing else mattered. And when you had that kind of focus from obviously the highest capacity person on the planet, coupled with Donald Trump, you're talking about a force multiplier, the likes of which that literally, in my opinion, saved civilization.
Chris, what would you say?
I like the phrase force multiplier. That's absolutely what social media is. I agree with your analysis about people using social media as much as any media now. Now, there's a problem with that because social media is not as reliable on a lot of levels. Independent media depends on the outlet, what the vetting is, what the structure is. But yes, that was a big factor. The social media component of the dialogue is very important. Chris Wallace leaving CNN to go start a podcast, and like people saying, "Oh, this is a watershed moment." Well, no, it is. It depends what he does with his podcast.
And by the way, he's probably not going to do very well.
But I'm saying, right, because it could fade into, because what it has done very well, fringe and dissenting voices have done very well in that space.
Fringe don't as a pejorative.
Not as a pejorative.
Yeah.
People on the outside
Correct.
of the spectrum of thought.
Correct. Yeah.
Non-main party people.
Yes.
Okay. So what do I think? If I had to pick it, and I get why you mitigate it because it's more than this, but if I have to pick a pivot point, it was the inflation narrative. Because what happened was the left got caught in a space of trying to convince you that you weren't paying more for things and that wasn't really a problem. And that's a very tricky space. I would have a famous conservative come on every week named Bill O'Reilly. And his analysis would begin and end with the gas pump in the grocery store. And I'd say, yeah, but what about this? He'd say, gas is higher than it was. Groceries are higher, rent, mortgage, higher. There's your nut. That's your nut. And we haven't even included healthcare costs yet, which also went up. So when all of those things are worse now, and they're telling you that the guy where they were better is the problem, it doesn't compute. That's what I thought was a big pivot point. And of course, there are 100 other things that went into it. Jordan Peterson's right. There's never a single factor explanation for a complex situation. That to me,
but we can pinpoint causes set in motion for sure.
They couldn't get away from that reality.
Thanksgiving's around the corner. Christmas is around the corner. There was a moment that Kamala was uncomfortable saying Merry Christmas. She wanted to say Happy Holidays. Rob, can you play this clip? Go ahead and play this clip for the audience. Go ahead.
And when we all sing happy tunes and sing Merry Christmas and wish each other Merry Christmas, these children are not going to have a Merry Christmas. How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we?
Okay, you can pause it right there. So guess what? I want to say Merry Christmas this Christmas. Very simple. And if you are confident enough to say it as well, we had a very deep discussion because not everybody that works here is Christian. We said, listen, guys, we want to create merch that's very bold, that says Merry Christmas with maybe some scripture in it. Let's see if we have an audience for it. Pat, I don't know if it's a good idea and all this other stuff. That's what I stand for. You want it, great. You don't want it, I totally get it. But if you're watching this and you want to get a Merry Christmas hat, you go to Starbucks and you got the sun. I just want to see the reaction. You smile. You go to work, you got a Merry Christmas hat. You got to take that hat off, right? Hey, you want another hat here. You want some of the ugly sweaters that we have here, Rob. Can you show some of the stuff that we got here? You want to get some of the stuff for your kids, shirts. Future looks bright. Merry Christmas gear is officially here. And if you're bold enough to do it and order it, and again, you place any orders of these, we're going to put some future Looks Bright ornaments in the order for you. Limited edition custom that we have for the first 100 that place the order. If you're bold enough and you're comfortable going out there telling people Merry Christmas, and you're a valuetainer that believes the future looks bright, go place an order, and let's make some people uncomfortable or comfortable this Christmas with saying Merry Christmas. Having said that, let's get right into it. Charlie, and by the way, you can go to VT Merch to place the order. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.